week, something like that. I can't remember.
Oh man, yeah. When was the last time we were all together? It was last
Beginning of
month,
the month?
right? Or
End of last month or beginning of this month?
I think it was the end of last month.
Oh, all three of us, because I
Yeah.
think Paul and I did a show before I took off,
No, I meant like
John left earlier than that.
all
So
three. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's gotta be like 4 or 5
Were
weeks.
you not home on the 6th? Who was not here on the 6th?
I was not.
Okay, then yeah, it would have been like the 15th
Man.
of September,
Yeah,
maybe.
because I left on the 30th.
Yeah, because I went to Newfoundland, came back, Sean had left, and
Yeah.
then it was me and Paul, and then I had to leave again, and then Sean just got back.
And then it was me and
And then
Nathan after that. And then
yeah,
Sean and I couldn't
and
do a show together because he lost his voice or something.
last week I was under the weather, so we couldn't do an app that because I was back last week.
Yeah. And
But yeah, John. So John, I actually did listen to the one episode when I was gone, and I heard about your Newfoundland trip. I'm glad you had a good time. I would
Thanks,
love to
appreciate
hear
it.
about your work trip.
I mean, there's not much to say about it. I went to Atlanta and recorded a bunch of stuff. Like I was there for like 9.5, 10 days, and I basically spent the majority of that playing games, like for
sure.
recordings. We had a day where we went to some game stores. I picked up some new games, well, new games, and we had a day where we went to go see Weird Al in concert.
Oh man. Nice.
How was that?
That was really good. So that was it the Return of the Ridiculously Ill-Advised, like Vanity Tour, whatever the full name of that is. It's like a really long name. I had seen the first tour because it was pre-COVID. I saw that when it was in Calgary. I skipped when it had two shows in Calgary earlier this year. So I got to go see this one, and it was pretty good. It was more or less the same as the one I had seen in Calgary years ago, but obviously some different songs.
Sure.
But it was the same kind of energy. He just played a bunch of songs that weren't like his parodies. It was just like his original music for the most part. There's some parody-esque stuff in there. But no, it was a good time. That was my
That
third
movie.
That was my third Weird Al concert, but it was Emil and Tim's first, so they were just like blown away.
Nice.
And he was doing 2 days in Atlanta, so Emil went again the next day.
Wow.
Oh man.
And
I
apparently
have
he
to assume
closed.
it's like the same, like
Yeah,
track, like playlist.
no, the whole point of the concerts are apparently like they have different set lists.
Okay.
So apparently he ended the concert that I didn't go to, the second one, with Albuquerque, but with more lyrics. So apparently it's like a 20-minute long song.
Oh my god.
That movie comes out 1 week tomorrow.
Yes. Hopefully it ends up
On
being
the
entertaining. I did not realize that was both a Funny or Die sketch, although I remember seeing the original trailer now, and that it was done by the same person who wrote that sketch. The director of that was the director
Okay.
of that of the Funny or Die skit.
I'm not familiar with the skit, so yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like a 10-year-old bit, like 8-year-old. Like it's old. Funny or Die itself is pretty old, so
Yeah.
Down here, it's exclusive to the Roku streaming
yes.
platform.
Which
Yeah.
probably means it's
Which
on
I've
Crave up here.
Brave. Okay, I was gonna ask what you guys get because
I don't know,
I have
because like
never
9 out of
even
10
like
chance it's
heard.
Crave.
It's on
Yeah.
the
But the
Roku thing
Roku.
as well. It's on their free channel. So if you have a Roku,
guys have
can just
Roku?
watch that. Yeah.
Okay. What if you
No, so
don't
you
have
can
a
watch it.
Roku? How do you have to just like? I'm assuming the Xbox has like a Roku app. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just a Roku app you can get on your smart TV or like whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see that. That does look pretty ridiculous. I did see the headline last week that like people involved did absolutely no research into Weird Al's actual life when making this movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was pretty funny.
That makes sense.
Do you think he shows up in it? He's not in the trailers,
Oh,
is he?
he's in the trailer.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's the music producer. He's the exact same role he plays in the Funny or Die video.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen the trailer. Maybe he wasn't in the first one, or maybe I just totally missed it.
No, he is. If the music producer's
right.
there, I think he's been in all of them.
Okay. Yeah, I must have just missed that then. So very cool.
I'll see if I can find a picture of him for you there, but I think it's like he's literally in like the first couple seconds. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find a picture of him for you there, but I think it's like he's literally in like the first couple seconds. I'll see if I can find a picture of him for you there, but I think it's like he's literally in like the first couple seconds.
Did you
Yeah.
pick up any exciting games? You said you bought some stuff while you were down there.
There you go. I found him already. He's like literally in the second of the trailer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, without the hair, it's going to be hard to recognize him.
Yeah. Mostly just old box stuff. I'm trying to think of anything that I picked up that was like really nice. I found like a really nice copy of Pilot Wings for the Super Nintendo, like in really good condition. Like a bunch of stuff I found down there. I like when I wrote my notes in my my spreadsheet. I'm like, holy shit, this is fantastic condition. Like I probably damaged it more putting it in my suitcase than like it had ever been touched in its lifetime. Like it's wild.
Okay. I'm surprised you didn't bring like a specific carrying kind of case.
So,
Like
so the way it works is that if they've got like box protectors, like then I feel safe about putting them in my suitcase. If they don't have that, I
Okay.
bring them as carry-on.
I see. Okay. Okay. How about you, Paul? How's your last few weeks been?
Exhausting. I'm just so tired all the time.
Amen.
Okay. Just
Yep.
anything going on or just work?
Just so much work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since we last spoke, I went to India.
Yes.
Which is pretty fun.
So
little bit of a trip.
I do want to hear about India, but I really want to hear about apparently like the worst time of your life in airports coming back. Let's get the bad out of the way first, and then we can hear about the good stuff.
Okay. Okay. Well, so there's a couple parts of this one. So let me give you to chronologically. The flight going there was supposed to be to Amsterdam, then into Mumbai.
Okay.
So I wake up the day I'm leaving, get an email. Oh, hey, your flight's been delayed like 2 hours.
Okay.
And the layover was only like an hour and a half, so that means I would have missed my connection. So I was like, nah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I haven't even left yet. Flight's borked, so I had to call them, and they got me a new flight, pretty much at the almost identical, but instead it goes through Frankfurt, and then down to Mumbai. So worked out for me. Now coming back though, holy smokes! So it is September. No, sorry, it is October 15th. It's 8 a.m. My flight to go home, which is supposed to go back up to Amsterdam and then over to San Francisco, is leaving at 1 a.m. on October 16th. So I basically have all of the 15th to like hang out.
Right.
Then I have like a really, really like early in the morning flight on the. So it's 8 a.m. on the 15th. I get an email saying gate change, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever. So I just kind of look at the email, and it's saying, I'm like kind of skimming through it, and I see like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, what's 10 o'clock? They changed my flight from 1 a.m. on the 16th to 10 a.m. on the 15th.
Ooh.
Wait, what?
Which is less than 2 hours from when I got that email. I couldn't even attend. Like, I couldn't even get to that. There's no way.
Wow.
What a change, right?
Yeah, they fucked you on that one. Jeez.
Lose an entire day on top of everything else.
That's an insane change. So I call them up, and I'm like, I couldn't even get to the airport if I wanted to. Like, got to help me out here. So they're looking at different flights and whatnot, and they end up getting me on one that goes to Singapore, then San Francisco. And instead of my original flight being like 9 hours, 11 hours, it's now 5 hours, 15 hours. At Singapore to San Francisco. Man. That's a long flight.
Yes.
Okay.
Ew.
That is now my current record for the longest flight that I've done. So I say, okay. And that one actually leaves at 11 p.m. on the 15th. So it's actually a nicer time for me to leave than 1 a.m. So I get on that flight. It's the first 5 hour flight to Singapore. 2 hours into the flight, food poisoning hits.
Oh man. No. Fuck.
So I'm sitting. So actually, sorry. Let me take a step back. All the airports in India, at least the 4 that I dealt with while I was there, because we flew around a bunch to see a bunch of stuff. It will not let you even into the building unless you show your boarding ticket. Like they love checking your boarding ticket. You will get in a line, or at the beginning to get in the line, you need to show your boarding ticket, and to get out of the line, you got to show your boarding ticket. Sure. As if something could have happened while you were in a queue. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
Whatever reason, I didn't have my boarding ticket. I tried to check in online, and they wouldn't let me. They said you have to check in at the desk. I get to the building. They're like, "Can I see your ticket, please?" And I'm like, "I don't have it. I have to go to the desk to check in." "Oh, can I see your e-ticket?"
Mhm.
"No, I don't have it. I have to go to the desk to check in. You can't come into the airport without a boarding pass." What do
Right.
you want me to do? You wouldn't let me check in. I need to check in at the desk. So the security guard has to come, take my passport. He has to walk to the desk to make sure I'm actually supposed to be here, and then come give it back and let me in. Go through the line. Now I get to the thing and they want to check me in. They're like, "Oh, what are you going to the States for?" And I was like, just going home. I live there. "Oh, but this is a Canadian passport. Like, how do you live in the States?" And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm on a visa." That man's mind was just blown. He has no concept of what that is. He's asking his manager, like, what is this? And they're like, "Do you have a visa stamp?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's right there." And they're like, "Oh, you mean this thing?" And he just points to like the design on my passport. I'm like, "No,
yeah.
that's just the passport. This is the visa stamp." "Oh, I'm gonna need like a proof of address." I'm like,
Okay.
"What? Okay, what?" Like, I'm trying to think because I have nothing printed off.
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, let me try and find something in the email." All the airports in India will only let you connect to their Wi-Fi if you can first get them to text you a code that you enter.
What?
So you need to have a phone connection to use their free Wi-Fi. And so I'm like, "I can't open my email. I can't connect to your Wi-Fi." And he's like, "Oh, it's free. Just connect to it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but your Wi-Fi requires a phone. I don't have access to like cellular." But he has to input his phone number so that they'll get a PIN code to put into my phone so that I can get into my email.
Sure.
To
Okay.
which I find a confirmation shipping notice from Target that I bought Cards Against Humanity's new Clamonaise product
man.
that has my address on it. And that's what I present to prove that I live in the States.
I mean, it's the most official document you could have. So
Cards Against Humanity got you back in the States. I feel like you better have sent them a message about that.
I then say, "Hey, is there any chance I could like get an aisle row? Like seat?" And he's like, "Let me see." And he's like checking, and he's like, "So there's no aisle seats, but what I can do is I can put you in an exit row in the middle, but there's no window seat. It's just two seats there, so it's technically like an aisle seat." And I'm like, "Oh, that's fine, thank you." But she says, "I can't help with the Singapore flight. You'll have to ask when you're over there."
Sure.
"Okay, thanks for the help." So fast forward, I'm 2 hours into the flight. Food poisoning hits. There's turbulence. Luckily, no one's to my left, so I can like vomit into the bag with a little bit of privacy, and then sit there with this bag while I wait for the plane to stop shaking for a while, so that I can get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
So that
brutal.
sucked. It was a lot of trips to the bathroom. We touched down in Singapore, and I'm looking at my boarding pass. The time that we touched down was the time that my boarding pass said the next one was boarding. So I'm like, I need to get off this plane. So I'm waiting in line for people to like get off the plane. All of a sudden, I need to go to the bathroom right now. Push past everyone. I'm like, "Sorry, it's an emergency." And I go to the bathroom. So I'm in the bathroom, like vomiting, just looking at my watch the whole time. Finally get out of the bathroom, like everyone's gone. I'm rushing through it. I'm like jogging down the airport. I feel miserable with my body right now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing pharmacies. I could have definitely like purchased like some ginger ale or some gravel or something, but as far as I'm concerned, this thing is boarding. So I'm just hauling ass. For whatever reason, the gate, the one gate that I have had an extra layer of security.
What?
So I go through that, and now I'm just behind glass walls and I'm locked to this gate. They had not started boarding yet. But because I'm in this gate, I can't just walk around and go get some medication. This one had the extra layer of security, so I'm just stuck. Ask the person, "Hey, is any chance I can have an aisle seat?" "Oh, all the aisle seats are used up." "Cool. 15-hour flight with food poisoning, and I'm going to be in a middle seat. Can't wait to get on this plane."
Time.
I get on the plane. I sit down there, and I'm like, to both the guys on the other side, I'm like, "Hey, I'm having some stomach issues. Is there any chance either of you would trade me seats so that I don't have to bug you for the whole time?" And they say, No, it's okay if you bug me." I can't blame them. No one wants a middle seat for 15 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
And I ask the flight attendant, like, is there any aisle seats that I could trade into? And there actually is an aisle seat. So
Okay.
I did get an aisle seat. But 15 hours where the only thing you can think about is trying to keep your liquids inside your body. I didn't even want to like listen or watch stuff because my head was hurting, so I didn't want like noise pounding. Have you ever done a 15-hour flight with no entertainment?
That sounds awful.
Yeah, no.
Every time like food would come, I just said, "No, I can't take any of the two meals." They're like, "What? Aren't you hungry?" And I'm like, "I am hungry, but it will not stay down." So for like, I don't know, 24 hours, I ate a granola bar and some nuts and a lot of ginger ale.
Yeah.
Also, the smells of people eating was making me even more nauseous. So while people were having their dinners or breakfast, I was sitting in the bathroom trying not to smell stuff.
Jesus.
That's the furthest I could get away from things. Holy smokes.
Dude,
that
that
was
tops like any of my stories, and that's impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
That was the most nightmarish air travel I've ever done.
I've definitely been sick on an airplane, and it was like half an hour or like an hour, and it was absolutely fucking miserable. So to hear 15 hours of that is insane.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But hey, so that's the bad. Let's talk about some of the good. India was super fun. I got to ride a camel in the desert.
Yep.
One thing that was pretty fun about the camel one is that day was my girlfriend's birthday, and we had a tour guide that was with us for like almost 10 days. And I told him like at one point I was like, "Hey, it's gonna be my girlfriend's birthday. Is there like anything we can do on that day?" And blah blah blah. So we had coordinated that. When we did some of the camel ride, we were doing the camel rides to a local family's like in a village, and then they were going to prepare like a dinner for us, and we were going to like sit and have dinner with them. And then after the dinner, it's like the kids that kind of run the camel part, like the sons, they were going to take us to like the top of the hill to like watch the sunsets while we're on the camels or whatever. So during the sunset part, they started setting up the cake. So then when we came back and my girlfriend's using the bathroom, the tour guide's like, "Hey, they have everything set up. I'm gonna tell her that the family wants to like show some of the other like buildings they have and how they've kind of set up their home." I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. She'll definitely want to do that." So as they show her this one room, surprise, birthday cake, celebration, decorations up there. There was a bunch of little kids from the village who were there as well to like sing happy birthday, and we shared the cake with all of them because I doubt they like ever get cake.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty fun, unique thing
Cool.
I was able to pull off. Yeah. But it was great. It was such a wild experience. India is like so chaotic. Like it is so chaotic. There's garbage everywhere. There's vehicles everywhere. There's people honking horns. There's so many stray animals, like cows just absolutely everywhere, stray dogs everywhere. Like the second day I was there, we were driving out to a safari to see some like there was rhinos and elephants there and stuff in the wild, which was really cool. As we were driving there, I just saw a human dead body on the side of the road.
Oh,
Great. All right.
I was like, that's the first time I've seen a corpse not in a casket. Like,
Oh, sure.
when we just like drove past it pretty quick, but it was just like, what the fuck did we just see? So that was crazy. There's like so many stray dogs. I definitely saw a lot of dead dogs, which was also a bummer. It was definitely like a completely like foreign experience to what I am used to, but like great food, so much food, and it's like uncomfortably cheap there. So like our favorite meal, we went to a Tibetan restaurant and we ate so much food. We ate like 5 courses of food plus like bottles of water. Probably it cost us with tax and tip $13.
Oh man, yeah.
For a meal that like
Jesus.
over here would have easily been $60 before tax and tip.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus.
We felt like bad about how cheap stuff was, but it's like it's like their cost of living. They need to be able to like sell stuff to the people that live there, right?
Yeah.
So, And I mean, plenty of the monuments, they have like foreigner prices that are like 8 times if you're an Indian person price, which is still, it's like, all right, $5 to see this monument. Like, happy to do that. So we were tipping like a lot because we just felt bad. It's like, no, you deserve more money than what you are charging. Um, but yeah, it was great. It was cool. I was posting a lot on Instagram, all the stuff I was seeing. I went to the Taj Mahal because, of course, I went to the Taj Mahal, and of course, it was raining. Lucky me.
Yeah.
We went to there was a series of days, like 3 days, kind of in the middle, where we were getting rained out of a lot of our walking around activities that we wanted to do. So our guide said, would you guys like to go to a movie theater and see a movie? And we're big movie people, so we were like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And he took us to this movie theater. It had this big sign out front that said CNN travels #3 most enjoyable movie theater in the world, and they had like a top 10 listing of it, of their top that CNN Travel says these are the 10 most enjoyable movie theaters in the world, and it was #3.
Okay.
It was very fancy inside. It looked quite nice. And I was like to the guide, like, hey, no, we're down for like whatever, you know, as long as there's at least English subtitles. There was not.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
for whatever reason, he took us to a 3-hour long Bollywood movie in Hindi with no subtitles. I don't know why he thought that was a good idea.
Well, because he wanted to see it, probably.
I get like. So
like,
from
oh,
what
I
I
heard
could
this is
understand of
great.
that movie, it sounded like nonsense. What we looked up after the fact, it was complete nonsense, and it is a bad movie.
Well, I mean, all Bollywood movies are kind of nonsense. So it's part of the fun of them, if you can understand what they're saying, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Neither
just
part of
bad.
it.
Like we had gotten about 80% of what was going on because it was like an action movie, but still, like it was just a bad movie. And like there were so many parts where we were like, they don't need to be telling us this backstory. How is this important? Anyway.
Like
No
how you're
one
trying to
puts their
dissect
phone-
this movie you can't even understand while you're watching it.
I have nothing better to do. What am I supposed to do there? I can't pay attention. Like, what am I can't understand it. No one puts their phones on vibrate over there. So there's just phones going off throughout the whole movie. I saw someone just filming the movie.
Sure. Gotta get those
was
internet clicks.
People brought their kids. Kids were just running up and down the aisle. Again, I remind you, #3 most enjoyable movie theater in the world. My tour guide said he saw a rat.
Sure.
So I don't know, but that was another thing. Anyway, India was a good time, and that flight home was absolutely nightmarish.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I'm glad. Okay, cherry on the cake, because we were talking about concerts earlier in this video game podcast. So I get home, following weekend, which was last weekend, I fly out to Vegas. And I was like, man, I really wish I could just have like a chill weekend, but I'm off to see the When We Were Young tour, which is this big like Warped Tour-esque bunch of emo bands coming, bunch of huge bands I'm a huge fan of from like being a teenager. Can't wait to see it. So I fly there. I'm gonna have a good time with my friends. We are walking to the festival, and it gets canceled because of wind.
Yeah.
Wind.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was very windy that day, and yeah, it would have been unsafe, but just the idea of like, I flew all the way to Vegas after all this nonsense. Like, I just wanted a weekend of like alone, and I only had tickets for Saturday. I did not buy tickets for Sunday, so I just didn't get to see the thing. So I flew back to the Bay Area while everyone on Sunday was enjoying the festival.
That bites.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people actually talking about the situation that you're in, same thing, and it's so brutal. I thought you actually got for like the weekend, so I was like, well, at least he probably saw Sunday, but yeah, that
Got
sucks.
nothing. I got nothing out of it.
That sucks.
Yep. We ended up going to see like Cirque du Soleil, which Cirque du Soleil's nice, but like I was just so disappointed. It was hard to kind of enjoy anything.
Yeah.
Before you say, "Hey, you're in Vegas, you can like walk around the strip." It was freezing cold out because of the wind. So being outside sucked. And by the end of the day, I was like, I just want to be inside because I am tired of my body just getting like pelted with
Yeah.
wind.
And like, I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong. You don't seem like the type that cares about the like drunken debauchery, casino jumping, gambling. Like, because that's kind of the thing a lot of people go to Vegas for, right? The free drinks and the gambling and all that sort of thing. You don't seem like that type of guy either.
Correct. My whole group, we're not into gambling.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, like what are we? And also like we were just so bummed. Like it was just such a bummer.
That sucks.
And the whole time I was like, I wish I just stayed home. I could have just had a nice, fun, chill weekend at home. I'm still like getting over being kind of sick. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So this weekend,
I'm so sorry,
I'm just
dude.
gonna lay on the couch. I'm just staying on the couch and I'm just playing games and like that's all I'm doing. I did treat myself when I finally got home on Sunday. I was like, I'm going to the theaters. I'm gonna see a good movie, and I saw Black Adam, and that movie sucks.
Yeah, I've heard some
Oh,
bad
really?
things about that movie.
So that's my last month. There you go.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And I'm sure you've probably guessed it, but this is the top-down perspective.
I don't know. Jury's out on that
video-
one at this rate.
Yeah.
Video game podcast. It's October 27th. I'm Sean Booker.
I'm Paul Fleck.
John Wheeler.
Real quick, do you guys have Halloween plans on Monday?
Trick-or-treaters coming to the house, give them candy, and I'm probably streaming late at night.
On Monday? No, I work. So, working.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'm
You
gonna
doing-
go. There's a street here in Berkeley they're like rich people, so they go crazy with decorations. Haven't done it for the last couple of years, so I'm very excited to finally get to go to that street and like be a part of Halloween again.
Nice.
You doing a costume this year? What are you doing?
I am not. You?
Yep. I've got an Aquabats outfit. So
Oh, man.
Oh wow.
That's pretty
Yeah.
dope.
the mask,
I
the
wanna
hat,
hear
the,
next
the
week.
rash guard, and everything.
How many kids?
The answer is
know
going to
who
be
you are?
zero.
Zero.
The answer is intrinsically zero.
Yeah.
They even played a
You should
concert
ask-
here in Calgary like 2 or 3 years ago. It will be zero.
Ask each one of them. Can you guess who I am? And I would love if you did, because I would love to hear what they think you are. Because they'll probably just be like, I don't know, Fortnite guy,
Yeah, maybe.
SpongeBob character. I don't know. I would love to hear what they think you are, because there's no way they would know who you are. Is Reese dressing up?
No. I'm the one who usually dresses up, so.
Okay. All right, let's talk about what we've been playing. Paul, have you played anything?
I've played a lot of stuff, nothing that I really want to talk about here. It's all a bunch of old games that I've talked about before. The Dead Space games, Resident Evil games, like, it's all that. Horror month.
Okay. John, do you have some games you want to talk about?
Picross! No, I didn't really play much because while I was on the trip, I actually was mainly playing Splatoon because Emil was really into it.
That was the thing that I spent a lot of time into, and there's a whole show dedicated to that, so.
Yeah.
Right, and that reminds me, I even put this at the top of our doc because I wanted to do the housekeeping at the top so that people know, because we got a bunch going on. Splatoon 3 episode of TDP Plus is happening after this.
Yeah.
So either come watch it live or look for the archive tomorrow. Next month, we are doing Shovel Knight Dig as our game. So look forward to that. And on Halloween, we'll be releasing a Halloween-themed TVP. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's basically what I played on my trip. I did bring my Steam Deck on the trip, though, and played that a decent amount, too.
Okay. Oh, did you try that
Picross
game
on
out
your-
that
on-
I said maybe, like, you might be into this?
I tried it out on my Steam Deck.
And it didn't work. You were saying?
It crashed every time I hit an enemy.
Oh, that's really
Every time
bad.
I hit an enemy or an enemy hit me, it crashed. I couldn't play it.
Man, that sucks because the one, like, that game is okay. The thing I think is good about it is the combat. Like, the combat feels really good, so it sucks that, like, it would crash when you would do the thing that I like about that game. Ugh.
Yeah, so that was it.
Bummer.
I actually had it. It crashed a bunch of games. I was playing Metal Wolf Chaos XD. That crashed. Just but other games were perfectly fine. It was weird. Just every now and then there'd just be a game where it's like, nope, you can't play this.
Wow, weird.
Even though they were marked verified, I believe both games. Well, no, Ass Libra
Oh,
was
that's-
question mark because it wasn't sure, but Metal Wolf
Okay.
was definitely verified.
Yeah,
That's
I guess
weird.
like
I haven't heard of a verified one not working.
I guess
Well, I mean, I was playing the game for like an hour, and then it just suddenly was like, "Yep, crash."
for
I
people
just
that
happened
were
because
wondering,
it's yeah.
it was Ass Libra Revision is the name of the game.
Ass Libra was the game.
Yeah.
I was gonna stream it. I was gonna stream it on my work PC on Monday when I streamed,
Okay.
and then we ended up voting and playing some other stuff too. I played like Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
Oh, I'm interested in how that is because that seems bad.
Is that the new one?
Yeah, this is a new one. So this is the 7v1 one, the one that
the
is
DVD
essentially
one.
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
I played with viewers, and in my 2 or 3 rounds we tried to play, one the killer disconnected or crashed, so it didn't even go to the game. One happened very normal. It ran perfectly, but I got killed 15 seconds in, so I didn't get to do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
I literally
I
found an
how it
item.
plays.
I said, what does it do? Activated it. Turns out it was literally like a super move. So my character basically screamed out, "I'm here, Gallic gun!" Like it did that. And then
that sounds like the anime.
instantly. That's just exactly what happened. And then no one could come save me because it just happened that the killer just kept hovering around that one spot. So I was just like,
yeah,
screwed. And everyone who was watching was like, "Oh, he got like Boo was his villain first. Like you can't like Boo's actually really hard to deal with." So
Just like the anime.
yeah, rough luck on that.
Yeah.
And then the third round, I actually did get to play and do some things.
Okay.
But it took me so long to connect to the match that they were playing a Cell. Cell apparently just after X amount of time levels up. The way it works is that the character has the level up. And when they level up, they get the ability to literally destroy a portion of the stage where you have one of your objectives. And if you're in that area, you're just instantly dead. But every time they level up, they get to do this. Cell apparently just levels up after X amount of time for the first level. They got to do that while we were loading into the game. So we loaded into the game and they already immediately had like a nuke move and they got to start on level 2. It was really weird. So when I tried to escape after like everything failed, just instantly killed. So I don't have a good opinion currently of that game.
In Dead by Daylight, when the enemy catches you, they put you on like a hook.
Yeah.
And you just like wiggle there until one of your friends comes and like unhooks you, and then you're just like, fine, who cares about the hole in your chest? Is there an equivalent to like you being kind of trapped?
You can be revived. It does take a while.
No, well, my question is like, what actually is going on? Because I doubt Boo is impaling Goku on a hook.
No. Okay, so instead, the killer, like once they're at a certain point, can just fly around. Everyone else is basically playing as a civilian. So they can only walk around or use any like vehicles or whatever.
One of my favorite parts of Dragon Ball Z.
The civilians,
yeah. So you have to go around trying to find like a time key to summon a time machine that basically fixes the timeout. You're in like a time like a time glitch essentially. I forget exactly what the term is. But the idea is that this is like a weird rip in space time where a villain from the past of Dragon Ball Z is running around freely and just murdering a bunch of civilians, just kind of messing up with the timeline. So you are a member of the Time Force trying to go and like fix it all. Like Trunks has sent you there, future Trunks. But because of the time hiccup, also young Bulma and Oolong are also part of it. So you can also play as them, and they have like some of their abilities as well. Like Oolong can transform into certain things. Bulma just carries around a bazooka, just like stuff like that. Sure. But you also have the ability, if you can like get enough energy, you can transform into a Dragon Ball character that you get through a gacha system.
Okay.
So, yeah. So they give you enough now at the start to get a couple free. I apparently got some decent ones. I got like 5-star Vegeta, 5-star Piccolo, and like 4-star Goku. And they've all got like certain abilities and moves. So like depending on what level you are when you transform, like you can turn into them. You can fight the villain, and if you kill them, you win. But it only lasts for like X amount of time. So it's like really short-lived, and they can still overpower you easily.
What's the narrative thing for you turning into Goku?
I forget exactly what it is. Like you summon like a time spirit or something like that. It's a spirit of like heroes that were originally in like this time era. So basically like any character from the past, you can just transform into them. Like I think I got Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo. Yeah.
I will say, this is a 3D Dragon Ball Z game, so it sucks. That's the rule.
Okay.
Yep.
It is 7v1,
it.
and the 3 games I played, the one won every time. Yeah. I think there's like 3 different win states. There's like if the killer kills everyone, there's if the civilians kill off the hero, and then there's the hatch equivalent where like whoever manages to make it to the time machine and escapes gets to live, but anyone who stays behind, it just dies.
Right.
So yeah, it is very Dead by Daylight-esque. I like ideas about it, but I think it needs some tweaking, and it's peer-to-peer, so currently the netcode sucks balls.
Ugh, yeah.
Hang on. My chat pointed this out that I forgot about. It is peer-to-peer and region-locked.
Oh, great. Okay. I mean, it makes sense it's region-locked because it's peer-to-peer.
Yeah, technically a good thing, but like the PC version did not run well. I asked people, like, should I just use the Xbox one? And they're like, yeah, that might be better. So I don't know how the console ones are, but apparently like it runs okay on Switch. It's just the netcode, from what I've heard, can be a thing.
Sure.
This is such a weird thing to even exist. Like, it's just like the Dragon Ball Z people being like, well, Dead by Daylight's big. We can do that. And it's like, but should they? But should you do that? Anyone else?
Like I said, there's some cool ideas there, but like it
and
seems
it's in
really
the game
like
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah. All right, you got me there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a neat idea. It just I don't think anyone who's like into Dead by Daylight specifically is going to be like, "Yep, this is what I need now. This is what I want. I'm moving over."
Yeah, like who's playing Dead by Daylight because they're like, "I love this gameplay, but the one thing it's missing is the civilian characters from Dragon Ball Z."
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you can apparently get the farmer from Dragon Ball Z, like the guy at the very beginning of the series that Raditz murders. Apparently, he's like stupidly popular and actually kind of decent.
I mean, he's like a meme character, so like I'm glad they leaned into that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, like I got Yamcha and I got Wolfang Fist, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's actually a really good super. That's like the current meta." I'm like, "What the fuck is this game currently?"
Yeah. I mean, Dead by Daylight, it has their meta, and they change the meta, and it goes on. Yeah, so I'm not surprised. Chances are it survives. I'm gonna say no.
No, apparently it was a budget game, but they have a season 2 announced. So, and season 2 they're adding in apparently Great Ape Vegeta. So,
wait, I don't even know. Is this free to play?
No, God.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's not going to survive then.
If it's free to play, what are you expecting?
If it's free to play,
the team you're playing, are the time people? Are they called the Breakers? Is that where the name comes from?
I think that Distortion is actually called a time break or something like that.
Okay.
Sure, that makes sense then.
All right. Is that all you played?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can talk about other stuff I played on stream, but like I figured we were just gonna move on.
If you want to talk about some stuff, you can go ahead, but your call.
I also forgot what I actually played last stream. Oops. I played Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway.
Oh my god. I need to know about this because I heard this might be the worst game like for this year.
Worst game? What? I don't know if I'd say that.
No, just janky shit, like apparently.
Oh, it's janky as fuck. It is janky as fuck. But they got all the voice actors, as many as that they could.
Oh, really?
Nice. So like,
wow.
So like the Ninja Turtles are in there. They've all got their voice actors from the 80s show. Like Rocco's got his voice actor, the SpongeBob cast, etc. So they got as many as they could. It is very Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed esque in that like you'll like suddenly switch onto like water, so then the car turns into a boat, stuff like that. And you can pick a bike or you can pick like a cart. But it's very very loose feeling, and like you bounce off walls and stuff like that. It's very much like a low budget Mario Kart Sonic All Stars.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun in a weird way. I don't know if it's pay full price fun, but I got a code for free because a friend did a video on it, and I'd say that's a great price for it.
The roster
Yeah,
is insane.
Yes,
It's
absolutely
huge.
insane. It's got like 60 characters or something bonkers like that.
I played the first two. I think they were like free weekend game with gold games, and so like I was like, well, I didn't pay. This was fine enough. Sure.
Yeah, apparently this is the best of the three, but I think it's still getting like 60s on Metacritic or something like that.
Interesting.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. To be decided.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
It has no reviews. It has no reviews at. Oh, hang on. The Switch version has 3 reviews: 75, 50, and 40. Xbox One and Series X have nothing. PS5 has a 70 overall. So that's not terrible.
I mean, I kind of understand why it was hard to find reviews, because I didn't even know this fucking thing came out until somebody said it offhandedly in something that I was watching like weeks ago. So, yeah.
Featuring a fully voiced acted cast of over 40 iconic characters.
Nice. All right, cool. Any like weird pulls for the characters?
I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah. One of the Ninja Turtles is Eastman and Laird Raphael, so it's literally comic book art style Raphael.
Oh, all right.
But it's still Rob Paulson doing the voice, so it's still very like the comical, like snarky Raph. It's really weird. Rocco, they got Cat Dog, Ren and Stimpy, but Ren and Stimpy are both voiced by Billy West, so it sounds weird as someone who grew up on that show.
Okay.
Trying to think of who else is on there. They got a bunch of Avatar characters. They got a bunch of Loud House characters.
Hey,
JoJo
Arnold.
Siwa, I think she was in.
Yeah,
one of the
JoJo
other
Siwa. I don't know
ones.
who that is at all.
I didn't. It's like a live action Nickelodeon thing from after my time, but I remember that just her standing out because she was like a person.
Yeah, they got the SpongeBob roster. Then they have the Camp Krusty or whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, okay.
The kid version.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids version of everyone. I'm just trying to think of who. Yeah, like it's a decent roster, honestly.
There's a lot of. How about some Nigel Thornberry?
I don't think there's
Oh, I
anyone
don't
from the
think-
Thornberries unless he's going to be added as DLC.
Not from what I've seen.
You
Yeah,
guys
no.
doing okay?
Powdered Toast Man's in there. Oblina from All Real Monsters.
Yep. All Real Monsters.
Okay.
Has some
Yeah,
rec
yeah.
in there.
They were in the other ones. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, it was the I think the roster and the voices are the most impressive thing about that one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I'm going to talk about some of my games now, if that's okay.
Go for it.
No. Okay.
I've been playing the new Mario and Rabbids game, Sparks of Hope. This is the sequel to.
I would have been
Kingdom
playing that, but my audience voted for Dragon Ball: The Breakers instead.
Motherfuckers,
Oh.
dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, you gotta ban those people from your chat. I
Yep.
guess
That's like a
the
couple
only
hundred people I'll have to
solution.
ban because it was
got
a
a
poll.
clean house.
Exactly.
Iron fist.
You gotta tighten up your audience there. Sparks of Hope is great. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I liked the first one a whole lot. It is still like a turn-based game, but it's less. There's no tiles this time. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's
if you
free
guys
range
knew about
movement
that.
now, so it's like Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah,
That makes
basically.
sense.
So each character has like a circle of distance that they can travel.
Oh yeah, that is literally
Um,
Valkyria. Okay.
Yeah. Which that's fine. I think I just kind of prefer the tiles from just like a nostalgia. Like I like tile tactics games, but this is totally fine, and it's like such a minor little thing from there. The new characters are fun to use. There's like this like goth rabbid you get, and she just has like a buster sword that she throws at people, which is pretty OP. So I like using her quite a bit. I can't even remember her name, but like, who even cares?
All right then.
Your little like robot companion is fully voice acted.
Oh, that's a weird
Sure.
change.
Yeah, and it's like all the other characters, they'll just say like a little emotion sound, like a woohoo, and then you'll see their whole line, but they don't say it. Except this robot, it's fully voice acted.
That
I
is
don't know.
weird.
That's a weird decision, but anyway, I think it looks really good on handheld. I don't think it looks great on my big TV, but of course, it's a Switch game. It plays fine. Like, it's exactly what you want. If you liked that first game, you're gonna like this one. If that first game did not do it for you, this is not bringing anything uniquely different to change your mind.
Sure.
I'm in the. I'm gonna say I'm in the second world, but the second world seems to have two parts, so I'm in like the second half of the second world. And it's pretty fun. Luigi's awesome because he's like a sniper, so I've been using him quite a bit. My team is Mario, Luigi, and the Goth Rabbit girl because they all have like Overwatch, which is just so useful. Yeah, I don't really know much else to say other than like you probably know if you want to play this game. If you've been on the fence, like this is a really good one. You can just jump in. It does not matter. Although that first game can be purchased for like $10, and I'm sure it still holds up. I'm
Do
glad to
you
hear they're
need to
doing
beat
like
the first one to play the second one? I've heard mixed things, but leaning towards yes.
why have you heard yes? What did you hear any
Storyline
reasons why?
wise.
No, I don't even remember what happened in the first one.
Okay, never mind. Then.
Like this is a new story, so now you're I don't know. Is it no? Because Bowser teams up with you at some point. Although I'm not at that point yet. What is the story? Oh, there's like a mess. It's called a dark mess. You have to clean up the dark mess. Much like
Clean your
Splatoon,
room, young lady.
there's a
Clean up the
weird
dark
goo.
mess.
Yeah. I don't think you need to play the first one. If you wanted to just jump into this, I think you'd be totally fine. Like I said, that first one's probably so cheap now. Like you might as well pick it up. But if you want the new one, you can go right to the new one. I think you'd be totally fine. You get more special abilities this time because you have the sparks, which are the like.
The
I don't even know what
Lumas.
are they called in Mario? The
Lumas.
Rosalina's Lumas. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah. So then the Lumas are now rabified and they're called sparks. And they have special abilities, like they'll turn your weapons into like a fire weapon, so you can do like a special attack, and different enemies will have different weaknesses and stuff. Or this one will give you extra armor, or it'll deflect damage, stuff like that. So there's just more variety. There's kind of more going on. Both those games I like quite a bit. So yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with this one.
Nice.
Speaking of sequels, I am playing A Plague Tale Requiem, which is the sequel to A Plague Tale
Innocence?
Yeah,
Innocence,
I think that's
yeah.
what it's called. These Plague Tale games are some of my favorite like B tier games going on right now.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is like this is like a total like double A kind of like they're not like the heavy hitters, but they're not like a small little team. Like they're just like right in the middle. We don't get a lot of B tier games anymore because like don't seem financially like incredible to deal with, at least for the past few years. Maybe they're coming back a bit with Game Pass, and this is on Game Pass. I will say this game looks really nice, and for those who don't know what Plague Tale is, they are stealth action games that are more on the stealth side than action. To the point where in this one, I turned the difficulty down to easy because if you get caught, you don't really have a lot of options. You're better off just restarting than even trying to attempt it. So I just said to myself, I'm tired of getting caught. This sucks. I just like sneaking through and seeing the set pieces. They have ramped up the set pieces to almost like an Uncharted level. Like not maybe like an Uncharted 2 level, but they're straight up like your character Amicia is running towards the camera while a tidal wave of rats is destroying a city and trying to eat her alive.
Yeah, that tracks.
They'll do that,
Sounds
yeah,
cool.
exactly. So Yeah, no, it is cool. And like the game, the part where it's really punching above its weight is just how like gorgeous it looks. Like you will enter
Mm.
these amazing looking cathedrals, or the basement is just like corpses that rats have just like devoured, and you have to like sludge your way kind of through it. It almost reminds me kind of like the recent Tomb Raider games when she would fall into those like weird like sacrificial pits, and then she would just be like, "Oh God!" and there's all those like skeletons around her and whatnot. Um, but again, it is a stealth game, so you are sneaking like around cover into tall bushes, underneath planks to try and get around. Um, Again, I that's like my least favorite part of it. I like the like puzzle solving you have to do. How do I make the rats move out of the way by using the light in different ways and whatnot? A few hours in, you get some pretty weird abilities. I don't want to spoil all of them, but I will mention one of them. So often in a lot of these games, just games in general, there's some kind of like detective mode where you can see through walls, right?
Yep.
A lot of time the game has a pretty like silly reason of why you can do that. They actually have kind of a funny one in this one. So your brother who has some disease, he's somehow connected to the rats in some way. If you hold down on the D-pad, he'll put his hands on the ground and he can feel the rats. And the rats tell him where the people are.
I don't. There wasn't anything like that in the first game, right? There was a connection between him and the rats in the first game, but I don't think they went like as far to make a game mechanic out of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. They are definitely pushing it. And again, I have there's one mechanic I'm not talking about because it's very goofy. But I wanted to mention that you can see the people because the rats tell you. And for whatever reason, you can like see their heartbeat and their like circulatory system. I don't know how that narratively the rats are telling me that, but it's a weird game. But I like it. And again, it is such a gorgeous looking game. It's just fun to see these crazy things. If anyone is interested, it's probably worth playing the first one. But if you're somewhat interested in the second one, I would say at least finish chapter 4 because there's a pretty great set piece of you trying to run away from the rats and everything going on at the end of chapter 4. So
I'm excited to get to it. I really think people should play Innocence because it starts off as just kind of like a game with like this weird like plague thing going on in the background, but like there's a story going on, and then it just ramps up to this weird almost magical anime bullshit by the end. So I'm excited to see how they push that even more in the second one now.
yeah, I mean, it does get to some goofy, crazy proportions. I don't know if it gets anime crazy. That really like paints kind of like a picture, at least in my head. But these are interesting games. It is hard for me to just say like anyone should give it a try because these games are like longer and they probably are worth. That first game is like 16 hours and this one's at least 20. Like this is a longer game.
The first one did not feel long at all. It like you're right, they are longer, but there's so much going on. They're just fun. That was just a fun game. So
they're like some of my favorite like B tier games out there. Requiem is on Game Pass. I know Innocence at least used to be. I don't know if it still is. But I'm sure you could also probably get it pretty cheap on Steam at this point because it's a few years old.
Yeah.
I really do think just put the difficulty down to 0 because the constant like having to like restart the checkpoint because a dude saw you, it's just like not worth like banging your head against that wall. Last is today I played through all of the Frog Detective, the entire mystery.
Okay.
So yesterday Frog Detective 3 came out, and then along with that they bundled all 3 of them together as Frog Detective the entire mystery, and that got put on Game Pass. I've been hearing great things about Frog Detective for a while, so I was very excited. This is like the ending to the trilogy. They wrap everything up. Frog Detective, for those who don't know, is basically just an adventure game. You're kind of walking around these small towns, talking to people, determining what they want, and then it's a bunch of like, I'll trade you this, and then that way I can trade it to this person, this person, this person, and then you figure out the mystery. Just some like A-class writing. Some of like these games are hilarious. The humor is so dry and witty. Like these are some of the funniest games I've played in a long time, especially the third one. The third one is easily the best one by far. You can definitely tell the team gets better as they go. Each of these games are like an hour long. You can play through all 3 of them in probably under 5 hours, doing absolutely everything in the games. Third game, you get a scooter that you can ride around on, and that's just great. That's just a lot of fun. And the art style, it's pretty simple. It reminds me a lot of like Bug Snacks, but even Bug Snacks has more detail than this. But it's a lot of just goofy animal characters saying goofy stuff, and then the frog detective just kind of reacts to them in like the frog detective is definitely the straight man going on, so it leads to a lot of really dry wit and some pretty funny conversations. So talk to everyone as much as you can because there's some very good jokes in there. And 2 thumbs up for Frog Detective: The Entire Mystery. Again, that is on Game Pass. And that's gonna do it for what I played. Let's do some news.
Okay.
Have you guys been following this Bayonetta voice actor stuff?
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Drives me fucking crazy. Yes.
Because we got some more updates this week. It's been going on for a few weeks now, but the long short of it is the voice actress for Bayonetta in Bayonetta 1 and 2 came out to ask people to boycott the game because she was not offered enough money in her words, and was since replaced. This was a while ago, replaced by Jennifer Hale, who people will know from like Mass Effect and like everything. Jennifer Hale also did come out and basically kind of said like, obviously I can't really comment on this kind of stuff because of NDAs and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of back and forth. Most recently, it's starting to seem more and more like the voice actress is not being totally honest, because she's contradicting some of her numbers now. It first kind of started off with her saying she asked she asked for like 6 figures. Again, no, that's not what she was saying. That's what Bloomberg was reporting. Asked for 6 figures. What was offered somewhere between 3 to 5 voice sessions. She was originally saying they only offered me like $4,000. It has come out and then changed that number to $10,000. So her story's not super straight. It's weird and it's muddy, and it gets weirder when voice actors just kind of don't get paid well in general. It's kind of the overarching plot about this whole thing. I don't know. What are your guys' take on all this?
When the story first broke, I was on her side because I'm like, okay, no, this tracks. Literally, like, I think not even a month ago, there had been a major discussion about anime voice actors, and the guy who did the main character of like Mob 100 was just getting cut because he wasn't getting paid union rates or something like that. So I'm like, okay, this tracks. This sounds like she's telling the truth because this tracks with everything else. And then Hideki Kamiya's weird comment of like, don't believe the liar or something like that. The truth will be revealed. Like weird and like not quite forthcoming answer, and also weirdly like aggressive because he immediately started blocking people like crazy. So it was became of like, okay, this is really not looking good.
He is known for doing that on Twitter. He's kind of a weird
but he
Twitter guy.
kicked it into overdrive to a point where like Twitter like blocked his account because they thought he was a bot. He literally got.
I didn't hear that one. I heard that he just like deleted his account. And
that
he's
happened
also
after.
Back also
yeah,
now on
he
Twitter,
got his account got restricted at first because he had blocked so many people. People thought it was like Twitter thought it was a bot. And then he deleted the account, then he reopened it, and it's back to normal, I think. And then that was when like all the reporting started coming out there. So like the whole thing was just a mess, and still honestly is. Because at the end of the day, the discussion still kind of has to happen, but at the same time, it's very clear that now that there's proof out there at least, and that she's not showing her version that said things otherwise and is agreeing now with what they said, she wasn't forthcoming. So it's just like, this just sucks. Like this is screwed like over anyone else who tries to talk about like not getting paid fairly.
And it's like hard to like pick a side I don't even know if you really need to pick a side, but if you are trying, it's like, well, now both just kind of seem at fault. Like if you pick the studio, it's like, well, you're not paying them very well because you don't really have to, but that's just an annoying industry problem. And if you pick her side, it's like, wait, so you were lying? Well, now I don't even really know what to believe.
And apparently, like Kame's offer, like literally increased her pay by 50%. And and also that the 4,000 was just for the cameo. Like looking at Kame's offers, like they were actually willing to work with her, which
they did compromise.
It's still not
and then
much for like someone who doesn't get many gigs for voice acting, but still, it's just a case of like she lied about like him wanting to work with them, and then it just became a mess because of it.
And then it also, it leads to like a larger discussion of like, the voice actors aren't getting paid enough. But I bet there is people throughout the entire team who are not getting paid enough. Not
Totally.
like voice
100%.
acting aside.
Yeah.
So it's, what do you do there? I don't know. Anyone gonna boycott Bayonetta 3?
No, I'm picking it up, but I'm probably not gonna stream it just to kind of balance it out. Because I have the collector's edition ordered, and I'm like, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to find otherwise. But at the same time, it's just like this is just a gross situation.
In capitalism, man, right? There's no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Paul, I would love your take on a Silent Hill 2 remake.
That game doesn't really need one, but that's cool. Like, why not?
It's being done by the Bloober team, which I know a lot of people are upset about.
Yeah, because Bloober's not very good with that type of gameplay, just like mechanically. But I mean, I don't know. They have a pretty strong so this trailer looked like they are very literally remaking that game. They're not kind of taking any liberties with a lot of stuff. It is almost like a copy paste in a lot of ways, which is totally fine and probably expected. I think the worst part about that trailer is that James looks bad, but that's a personal gripe. Everything else looked pretty spot on tone wise. So I don't know. We'll see is kind of the thing. I was more interested in literally everything else they talked about that thing.
Oh yeah, because they announced a lot of Silent Hill stuff. They announced like 4 games.
Some of it really weird. So one of them was called Silent Hill Townfall, or at least that's what it's called right now, made by the Stories Untold and Observation to connect it to us, because we did TDP Plus on it. Studio No Code. That could be interesting. That seems like probably more of a... Well, it's published by Annapurna, so that probably tells you kind of more of a tone that's going to take more of like a, not visual novel, but like a slower paced thing, probably. More movie-like quality, I would assume. Not much is out about that. Silent Hill Ascension seems hilarious because it seems basically just like some dumb Silent Hill game where you play with a bunch of other people and like you're choosing, it's like a choose your own adventure by the looks of it or something. So that could be incredibly stupid in a way that
kind of like a Supermassive game,
kind of, but like with a bunch of people putting in their input apparently. So that could be interesting. The thing that caught my eye was Silent Hill F. They only showed kind of a teaser trailer, and it looks like they're working with Ryukichi07, who did a bunch of visual novels. One that I've been wanting to check out for a long time called Higurashi When They Cry, which is quite old now, but like, yeah.
This is a visual novel?
Yes, they're visual novels. So Silent Hill F is what it's called, and it seems to be set in 60s era Japan. It kind of had like this cool trailer.
Like, my question was, is Silent Hill F a visual novel?
No, I don't think so. Oh, but we don't know.
It looks like it's gonna be like a proper one.
Yeah. It just had this like really beautiful, creepy vibe going on with it, where like this lady's being overtaken by flowers and turns into almost this like mannequin like corpse or something by the end, and she's like crying or something. She's just overtaken by flowers and like beautiful looking plants and stuff. It's very, very cool. I really like the vibe on that. And then another thing that was weird was Christoph Gans, who did the first Silent Hill movie, is like, I got ideas to bring Silent Hill 2 to the big screen. And I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be so weird. But I'm less interested, I think, in that than I should be, but I'm totally gonna see it when it comes out, so whatever.
One thing I just remembered is this whole presentation when so they were leading up to it, they were like, hey, this is when it's gonna go live. Then instead of making it like a live premiere live stream, they just put the video out there so you could just like skip ahead to like the announcements. You didn't have to watch the whole thing. So like,
Oh, sure.
how do you screw that up?
I mean, I think they obviously did that on purpose, right? Probably. I don't know. Did they?
Why would you want to do that?
I'm assuming what happened is they probably streamed it in Japan and then had somebody do like a voiceover or whatever for the translation and then put that VOD out, is what I assume would happen.
I don't think that was the case, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know for sure. So
I don't know. I thought it was surprisingly good because I was expecting nothing. And I got a bunch of actual information about stuff that is happening, for better or worse.
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like if you're a Silent Hill fan, you need to like temper your expectations because you live in misery.
Honestly, kind of. It's been rumored that Bloober Team were doing a Silent Hill 2 thing for months, so it's kind of cool that maybe that leak or those rumors had some basis in it.
I will say the story in the medium is dog shit.
Yeah, the medium's not very good in a lot of ways, but what if the story in the medium was very good?
What if someone else
just saying,
wrote
I
the
don't-
story
Yeah,
in the medium?
what if somebody who knew how to write games wrote the story for the medium?
Well, I think when I was looking here is the creative director of the medium is the lead director on this.
Yeah, but they're not going to have any major input on the story, I think. It seems really like they're basically just modernizing that
They've got
game.
most of Team Silent back from what they've been advertising. Like Yamaoka's back, the story writer's back.
I am
I also
interested
don't
to
have
see
any
what he
faith that
does.
Konami is going to help.
What was that?
I also have no faith that Konami is a good presence in the games industry.
No, they
so.
probably just gave Bloober money. Like, that's probably as far as they'll go.
Guess we will see.
Yeah.
Speaking of remakes, projects CD Projekt Red have come out and said that they are remaking the first Witcher game.
Oh, good,
Gonna
because
be
that
built
game
from the
plays like
ground
dog
up.
shit.
From the ground up in Unreal Engine 5. They're actually giving it to a different studio, a Polish studio called Fool's Theory, that has, I guess, veteran Witcher staff involved. It's very early in development, but as someone who kind of missed those games, I will happily play the first Witcher.
This is great news. Yeah, I didn't know about this. That's awesome.
And last bit, Phil Spencer went on and did an interview today, and a couple interesting tidbits popped out. I'll just read the highlights here. Xbox Keystone. This was the Game Pass cloud streaming box they were planning to make, and that you would just connect to your TV and have access to Game Pass. You don't need an Xbox. So that was codenamed Keystone, and the quote here is, Keystone was something that we were incubating internally. Late spring, we pivoted to working with Samsung. For those who don't know, a lot of Samsung TVs now have Game Pass built right into them. A lot of the new Samsung TVs. I still have the prototype. Will we do a streaming device at some point? I expect we will, but it's years away. So it sounds like that streaming box is not going to be happening anytime soon, and they're pivoting away from that.
Sure.
People have been following along with Phil Spencer's background. A prototype did show up in them, and people were wondering what's going on with that. And he kind of addressed it here. Continuing along for the interview, the topic of price points getting adjusted came up, And Phil's quote was, "We've held price on our console, we've held price on games and our subscription. I don't think we'll be able to do that forever. I do think at some point we'll have to raise some prices on certain things." If you remember, Sony had to raise the PlayStation's price. Xbox decided not to do that. Nintendo also did not do that. And we've all kind of suspected Game Pass is going to get a price hike sooner or later.
They tried in the past, so like it's gonna happen.
And then he gave some revenue tips. Some talking points about Game Pass specifically. He said Game Pass has confirmed that it is profitable. Game Pass is 15% of their gaming revenue. Game Pass growth on console has slowed. PC growth is, quote, incredible at the moment. And then, yeah, we heard that prices will be going up. So that is your news for the week. Do some questions. If you'd like to send a question in, it's topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter, the Discord channel, or John's P.O. Box. I'll read this first one from Matthew. When would you say a game goes from an X clone to an X like? And when would you say X like becomes a game genre?
Usually going from a like to a game genre, just it has to carve its own niche. Like it has to be like a generally well-liked game in its own kind of thing.
I think to get the genre one, it has to have something unique enough that it is differentiated. Right?
And just the same, it has to go away from being like for clone to like. It can't just be the exact same game, like to the minute. It just had to have enough differences, but that gives you the feeling of that first game, but is still its own kind of thing.
And then it obviously needs to be good enough that multiple people do it.
Yeah.
To be a genre, just in general.
Yeah. Can you guys think of any like examples that kind of went through this transition?
Rogue clone, roguelike, and then it became a genre.
That's the core of that one, yeah.
Souls. There were Souls-like clones for a while, then people kind of iterated on core ideas in those games, which made it a like. So instead of just being kind of a copy-paste, it was more, we took some ideas, but it's kind of its own thing, and that's when that became a genre, when more people just started doing that.
That's a more common good one. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Just kind of seems like if you get enough clones, you get a genre out of it.
Eventually, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spooku.
Spooku.
Right. What's the longest you've gone fantasizing about playing a game, but not getting around to actually playing it, despite you saying you will one day, even though you put the console away, all while making excuses like not having time or just playing Skyrim again for the 10th time, and you know if only you started it, you'd really enjoy it?
I still haven't touched the Mass Effect series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Name a major series, and I can probably say, yeah, I meant to get to that at some point. I'm a game collector. That just happens after a while.
Sure.
Probably like this, where it's probably like Yakuza, because like I do dip my toe in. It's like I'm gonna play, like I play like 5 more hours of it, like every like 6 months. And eventually I'll finish Yakuza 0. It's like I have had that thing installed for years. And then the one that comes to mind before that was I had Shadow. What was the second Mordor? Shadow of War?
Yeah.
I had that one installed.
Shadow the Hedgehog for a second. I was about to laugh my ass off.
No, definitely not. No. I got that game pretty close to when it came out, and then had it installed for like the entirety of the Xbox One generation. It's probably still installed on my Xbox One X, and I just never got to it.
Yeah, I think the Yakuza series is a pretty solid one for me.
Disco Elysium is another one that I've had installed, and it's like number 2 on my to play next, but then I keep getting like a new number 1.
Yeah.
And the number 1 just keeps rotating out.
Yeah.
Lineback writes in and says, so I was recently reminded that Dementium exists. Honestly, one of the best Silent Hill-esque games IMO, especially if you play it on the DS. But it got me thinking about how a shame it was there were not more devs that tried doing the PS1 horror aesthetic on the DS.
Mm.
With the recent rise of that aesthetic, what are some other old aesthetics that you would like to see make a return? Limeck, did you ever play the sequel? Because there was a second one, Dimension 2, on the DS as well.
And they released those in HD versions on other stuff as well.
I think like so we're at like PS1 and 64 graphics are getting a bit of a renaissance. Like after that, isn't it just going to be like ugly GameCube stuff?
I mean, so one of my favorite aesthetics that made a comeback in a certain game called Faith is the old like Atari almost ASCII line art stuff. That I think that stuff looks fantastic in that game.
Okay.
I would love cell shading to come back. Like
Cell
Jet
shading?
Set style. Yeah, cell shading.
Killer 7, yeah, get some of that.
Yeah.
13 around that time was also there.
13 got a re-release recently, which was surprising.
I didn't love 13, but I mean, it was
It
cool
didn't even
looking.
finish the story. Like they didn't even get to tell the entire story that they had planned.
Yeah.
You know, here's one I don't want to come back. Is like
Okay.
is like 360 era when everything was like brown.
Oh,
We still dip into that from time to time, I feel.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking like Gears of War 1. I'm thinking like Twilight Princess where everything was like gray and brown for a while. Grand Theft Auto 4, there's another one. I don't want that to come back.
I feel like I had that problem. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had nothing to say about it. I played through Scorn. That is very much one of those games that it was like, this is a lot of gray. kind of thought we were past that, but all right.
Okay. Gunzuka writes, which game series would you like to be in Canada as a location? Wait, would you like to be in Canada as a location you can explore with reason for it?
Has Pokemon done Canada yet? I don't think so.
That'd be
fun.
interesting.
So here's my thing.
Give me Gears of War Canada. Oh, that was Gears 5. Never mind.
I would love Canada, but just don't make it just a frozen wasteland. Like,
Right.
There's more to Canada than it gets cold for a while. And I feel like that's all you ever get with Canada.
True.
Like, Far Cry did Montana, which is like getting pretty close to Canada at that point, like, geographically.
Yeah, it is. So that actually looked a lot like Canada, like and not winter, just forest and just areas that are literally just flat with small town in it. Like there's a lot of that.
Yeah, like now I'm trying to think, like, because like America has like so many different visual things. Like it has like the Grand Canyon, it's got like Utah, like there's so many different, and I'm trying to think like what does Canada have distinct besides like, we definitely have mountains, we definitely have prairies. Like that's again, Far Cry did it with like Montana basically.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Backbone was set in Vancouver. That was cool to see because they just picked like a very specific part of downtown Vancouver, and it was like, all right, yeah, there's that clock tower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overwatch has a Toronto map.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yep. It's true. No More Spiros writes, I was recommended the book Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by a friend, with its emphasis on video games and culture being a reason I'd like it. It turned out to be the opposite, as it felt like either games were being mentioned for the sake of it, think Ready Player One or the movie Pixels, or what was being discussed was inaccurate to real life. For example, a character claims Crash Bandicoot's title makes no sense, despite that just being the name of the protagonist. While this makes it difficult for me to believe these characters are realistic, it most likely wouldn't affect more general audiences. Is it fair to judge something like this just because of one's prior knowledge to the subject?
Yeah, that's literally the description of like peer reviewing. That's literally
Sure.
what like critics do. You have to have some knowledge of the subject.
I think this is going to be the case for anyone, like any subject, if you know a lot about it.
I can't
Right.
listen to people talk about video games because it's infuriating unless they know video games. Like I listen to a comedy podcast and sometimes they talk about like a new game and it drives me up the fucking wall because it's just it's infuriating. But like that's
I do
yeah.
kind of get that. Like, I'll talk to like a normie on the street, and they'll talk about games, and it's just like, you're you're just talking about games in like a weird way. Like, I'm so used to talking to like people that are like really into games.
And it's fine. It's just that like yeah, you you just have to know that some things are not meant for you the way that they're presented, and that's okay.
And like what I was trying to say is like, 'cause I feel like if anyone is like watching like something or reading something and they know so much about the subject, then like the little errors are going to stick out because they know that thing, right? Like if it maybe you're way into like animals and you're watching an animal doc, you're watching like an animal thing, you're like, well, that's not how dogs actually would work or whatever. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to say is
Yep.
everyone's broken in a different way.
Totally.
So there's nothing you can do about it. You got to have a reasonable sense of disbelief, and you got to let it wash over you. And you just have to like open yourself up to it.
You just gotta punch the steering wheel a few times and scream and then be like, yeah, that's okay.
Anime just writes in and
Alright.
says, "What's a color you enjoy wearing?" I literally have a meme on my stream of blue shirt because I have so many blue shirts. And this is, of
Okay.
course, one of the days I am not wearing a blue shirt. But yeah.
I try to stay away from blue on my days off because that's part of my uniform. So
Gotcha.
I really like
have a lot of black
red
shirts.
and black.
Okay.
That combination.
Okay.
And purple. Just in
I
general.
don't know if I have a color that
Purple's
like I
good.
specifically like look forward to wearing. I will say though, I never wear like a shirt that's the same color as like the bottoms.
Oh,
I don't want to.
okay.
As
I
the
never
bottoms?
do like the double up. Like if I'm wearing like blue jeans, I'm not wearing a blue shirt unless they are a significant shade different. If I'm wearing black jeans, I'm not wearing a black shirt. If I have like
You're
gray
right.
shorts on, I'm not going to wear a gray shirt. I never I never double up like that.
You're right. I don't either, actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it.
I will do that only if I have something else to go with it. Like most of my shirts don't match my like pant shade, but like
Sure.
I'll have like a hoodie on or something like that at least like breaks it up a bit.
Sure.
Just don't. I feel like it looks like a jumpsuit. And
I guess
I
I can
wanna
see
look like I'm
that, but
wearing
like
a jumpsuit.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you can break it up by just like tucking your shirt in at that point though, or something like that.
What?
Or like a belt or
What am I,
something.
like an old man?
Yes, because
Tucking
clearly
my
only
shirt in.
60-plus-year-old men wear belts.
Wear a belt? The belt holds my pants up, and then my shirt goes on top of the belt.
Do you not have any belts you want to like show off the buckle for or anything?
Oh, I have
Okay.
one belt.
All right, fair
One
enough.
belt.
I have more than one. Apparently, I am alone
I
in
don't
that.
think I have any belts with a fancy buckle.
I also have one belt.
Apparently, I am alone in this. Although I can't say much. I had one belt up until like 5 years ago.
Sometimes you wear yesterday's pants because your one belt is still in those pants.
Yeah, dude, tell me about it.
All right, I'll agree with that. I've
Yeah,
definitely done that a lot.
Totally. Actually, to your point also, I don't ever wear a hoodie with the same color shirt underneath as the hoodie.
Oh, I think I'll do that.
I do that, but like I don't usually do it on the regular. Like
I
I
don't
only
think
have
I
like
have enough
2 or 3 hoodies I
different
wear.
colored hoodies.
I've actually like noticed I'm wearing a black shirt and then like put on a blue hoodie instead of the black one. Like I will consciously not do that.
I don't think I could do that because I don't think I have enough different colors of hoodies. And my hoodie choice comes down to how cold is it out. Well, that means I need to wear this specific hoodie.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's like a thickness question.
Got you.
VGC Kenny writes, if you were offered the opportunity for the TDP crew, including Nathan, to be in Fortnite, would you take it, or would you turn it down to not get recognized in public as often?
How much are they paying? Like, yeah, give me money.
I'm
Does it
assuming, yeah, we're getting paid for this, right?
Yeah, like absolutely. Who gives a shit? Give me that money.
I would agree to it. I don't think I even need to get paid. I think it would just be cool to be in Fortnite.
It'd be cool to be in Fortnite, but
dude.
Fortnite has the money though. Like,
No,
there's a difference between like an indie dev being like, "Hey, I want to put you in my game." I'd be like, "Hell yeah, I'm flattered." If Fortnite came up and was like, "I want to put you in our game," my first line is gonna be like, "Cool. Where's the contract? Where's the money?"
See, I would just be like, why? Why would you want to do that?
Too.
But again,
yes.
I'm not worried about being recognized in public. I'm just a white dude. I look like every other white dude. I will just blend in. No one will recognize me.
They are not getting my likeness for free. Fuck that. I am not going to be seen doing Fortnite dances in memes for free on the internet.
Yeah.
They can have it, sure. And I'll say to my friends, look, I'm in there. Look, that's me. And they're gonna be like, that's every white dude. And I'm gonna be like, well, I'm
putting it out to everybody. You use my likeness and don't pay me, I'm suing you.
All right.
Jesus.
Dead. Oh, final question from Dead. Who is a lesser known developer, person, or studio that you think does good work and would like to shout out? Fuck, I wish I had read this earlier and thought of something.
I like Freak Zone Games. They did the Angry Video Game Nerd games, but they've also done like a bunch of like other stuff on top of that. Spectacular Sparky, Fright Nights, I think was the name of the game. It's just like an endless runner, like a bunch of little small things that are pretty chill. Manos, the Hands of Fate, the game, like a bunch of like fun little stuff.
Okay.
Insomniac.
Epic Games. I'll shout out Worm Club, which is the Frog Detective developers. It's like 2 people. I'll also shout out, it's called LCB Game Studio. They did Mothman 1966, and they have another one coming out in a few months. And those are very small teams.
I've liked everything Tribute Games I think have put out in some way.
Tribute's got some good stuff, yeah.
They've put out a lot.
They've put out a lot. They've done a lot, yeah.
All right. So sending questions in. Again, if you want to send in questions for next week, topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter, the Discord channel, or John's P.O. Box. What is your game of the week?
Dead Space 2.
Splatoon 3?
Mine's A Plague Tale Requiem. Again, we're going to be going live shortly with our Splatoon 3 episode of TDP Plus. Shovel Knight Dig is next month, and if you are a TDP listener, Halloween episode is coming on Monday. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.